Let's look at a few elements in this fast-moving story of Minnesota that I want to show you. Lots of statements over the weekend in support of the protesters and recognition of the death of one of their fellow citizens. The NBA Players Association, 112, put out a very purposeful statement about the shooting and siding quite clearly with the protesters. The Minnesota business community put out a statement a little bit more ambiguous, but calling for peace and reconciliation. Bill Clinton and Barack Obama both weighed in. Rare instance where the New York Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and Washington Post editorial boards all pretty much in the same place. Amongst those Republicans calling for an investigation and speaking out in favor of transparency. 118, please. Some usual suspects: Murkowski and Tillis, Collins, but also Ricketts of Nebraska, McCormick of Pennsylvania, Cassidy of Louisiana, all calling for an investigation. Now, this is amongst the most significant things. Bill Melugin is a Fox reporter who's covered the border for a long time. Long tweet from him over the weekend, 120, in which he reports that many people he's talked to, over a dozen federal sources involved in immigration enforcement, say they're uneasy and frustrated, primarily focused on the claims made, false claims, manifestly false claims, by the Secretary of DHS. And here's one paragraph. Specifically, I'm told there is extreme frustration with DHS officials going on TV and putting out statements claiming that Alex Preddy was intending to conduct a, quote, massacre of federal agents or wanted to carry out, quote, maximum danger, even after numerous videos appeared to show those claims were inaccurate. While they say it was a terrible decision to show up with a gun and inject himself into a federal enforcement operation, there is no indication Preddy was there to murder law enforcement, as video appears to show he never drew his holstered firearm. There's a million other things I could show you. And again, some of you are going to be concerned on blue or red issues like the signal chat or governor or sanctuary cities. And some of you are going to just say, you're allowed to show up at a protest with a gun, even though Scott Besson says you should show up with a sign. So, Melissa, where are we going? I want to try, as always on the program, to be forward-looking. Now that Homans is going, now we have these court cases. Where are we going with this story?
I think that this is in the hands of Donald Trump at this point, and he can make a choice. And I think he made the wrong choice after the good incident, and I think he can course correct right now governmentally and help get this right back on track. Put Homan in charge, de-escalate. You saw last night that you've got the Minnesota National Guard out. They were handing out coffee. They were talking to protesters, bringing the temperature down. So there can be one path whereby not only in terms of tone coming from the top, is there reorientation of how they're dealing with this, but also a fundamental change in enforcement, not going around and asking people for their papers because they have an accent, not having people on the ground who have 47 days of training. Potentially, I don't know, get rid of the completely arbitrary 3,000 person a day, expulsion from the country guidelines set by Stephen Miller. They can make some real reforms here that can get them back on the right side of the issue that helped put him in the White House in the first place, or not, and they can double down. And I think that you can sort of see in some of the tweets from Trump and in some of the reporting that there's the angel devil on both of his shoulders and he's struggling to figure out who to listen to. The fact that Kristi Noem is going, I feel like, is a sign in the right direction, but there has to be a fundamental change in terms of how they are implementing the enforcement across the board in order to get their arms back around this. Or they could double down, they could continue to do what they're doing, more viral videos can come out, and then you can activate all across the country, which frankly I'm shocked hasn't happened yet, protests that devolve into riots, things that then end up in ballot boxes where the Republicans just get completely smoked because the country desires balance and some sort of feeling like there's an adult in the room. We're at a crossroads moment here, and it's up to President Trump where it goes.
If you don't read Eric's Substack every day, you're making a big mistake. But the last two on this matter were just singular because Eric is a singular voice of clarity. And amongst the things, Eric, you've written about is this Second Amendment advocates are furious about what the administration has said, understandably so. I mean, if Barack Obama said you couldn't show up and if you've got a license for concealed carry, you couldn't show up at a protest with a gun, the right would be go crazy. And to the NRA's credit, principled Second Amendment advocates, they've been critical of the administration. Eric, first question is the conventional wisdom is one thing, if the president backs down, if he does de-escalate, that it will somehow be showing weakness to the left. Is that something the president would be or should be concerned about in deciding what to do next?
I do think he has to be concerned about how you do this, because if the president does dramatically change course, there will be a lot of people on the left who say, we got to win. Now let's double down and do something. I will tell you, though, there are a number of people I've spoken to who they go back to the invasion into the church in Minnesota, and they think that this is only a matter of time before, if the president changes course, the left interprets it as, if we do these things, he changes course, they'll overplay their hand. There are a number of people, and I think they're right, that you will see this escalation on the left that gets out of hand if the president continues to pursue deportations at all, which they're going to do. They're not going to back down from the policy, even if they change course on how they do it, but that's still going to cause protests, because a lot of the agitators in Minnesota have taken the position that any deportations of anyone short of someone who's being released from prison is a bridge too far, but most Americans actually support that policy.
I believe, based on the polling data and the calls the president and others in the White House have gotten, that this is now akin to what happened with Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General. The president bullied through a bunch of nominees about whom members of Congress had serious doubts, including Pete Hegseth, including Kristi Noem, including Bobby Kennedy. He couldn't get Gaetz through because it was a bridge too far. Now, that was less about public opinion than it was about elite opinion. The senators just didn't think that he should be the Attorney General. In this case, the public opinion is overwhelming. It's not just the so-called fake news polls, although every poll is the same on this matter, as are the private polls that the president has been shown by his own pollsters. And the number of Republicans speaking out publicly against how this has gone is nothing compared to the numbers who are privately very concerned. And to their credit, they're not just concerned about the politics of it. They also don't think it's right in America to have people law enforcement shooting Americans at close range in situations that are, let's say, at a minimum, ambiguous. Do we have the picture of that was posted by the retired military leader? You know what I'm talking about? I don't see it on my list. In any event, I'll just say there are plenty of people in America who've conveyed to the White House and to the president, members of Congress, retired military, business leaders, this is not right. Okay. And they may be, and many of them do feel Joe Biden failed on the border. Many of them do feel sanctuary cities are ridiculous. Many of them do feel that Governor Walz and Mayor Fry are ridiculous. Many of them do feel you shouldn't show up at a protest with a concealed weapon. And if you're stopped, you should say that you should put up your hands and say, I have a gun. Many of them feel that way. They're right in league with those of you listening to me who are very MAGA and reflexively supportive of this operation. They agree with all of that, but they also think that the way this is being conducted has to stop. Okay, and I'm telling you that I'm almost certain. Never want to predict Donald Trump. It's like I say, Donald Trump is less predictable than Kim Jong-un. Okay, never want to predict him, but I'm just telling you, this is headed towards a change, and we saw the first step this morning with the decision to send home.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.